Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to all the professionals and students in India. I'm Dr. Vijay Singh, and I am a London-based educator and a consultant. As a consultant, I meet several students from India, and every time when I interact with these students and professionals, majority of the times I hear one statement, and this statement is pretty common for every third individual in India. And what they say is, well, I wanted to do something else in my life. My parents forced me, and here I am in a career where I never wanted to be. I wanted to achieve something different. My goals were pretty different, but today I am in a career not by choice, but by chance. Now, to all those professionals and to all those students, the only thing that I say is, well, you cannot go back and have a new beginning, but you can start today and have a new ending. In order to facilitate your ending process, I'm going to start my new video lectures on Train to IIM. IIMs, they provide management degrees, which are financially rewarding and socially prestigious. So I'm happy to help you and support you to chase your dreams. And now I'll be sharing some of the important tips about IIMs, how to get into IIMs, and how to land up into a foreign world, because needless to mention, IIMs not only provide a financially stable career, but also they provide a passport to the foreign world. So let's directly go to some content from IIM exams. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's take the train to IIM and let's reach our destination. So what are the required skill sets? What are these management colleges looking for? They are trying to calculate the power of your brain. Let's revisit the definition of power from the physics workbooks. So power, according to physics, is work done over time or energy over time. So here they are asking you to calculate certain number of questions in a stipulated time limit. So technically they are trying to calculate your intelligence per second. No wonder these exams are so competitive. Next, to have a successful career in management or to join a management college, you need to have a very strong command on English. English is the international language, and as a management graduate, you will be interacting with people from all across the globe. So English is the language. You need to have a very, very strong command on English. And of course, if you have a good command on English, you also need to improve your communication skills, which I think they are pretty interrelated. A good command in English will help you gain advantage as far as communication skills are concerned. But not only your communication English, but also your written English needs to be really strong. This is something that can be developed over time. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. This is something that can be developed, but definitely this is a necessity. If you lack the skill, then this is not the right profession for you. Next, we are looking for well-formed mind rather than well-filled mind. Our education system is such that we keep on filling in facts inside our mind. That's not what we are looking for in management colleges. We are looking for well-formed mind. Means that we are looking for people who have critical thinking ability, who have decision-making ability, and who are able to take risks. You need to think out of the box and take decisions. Just knowing the facts is not an advantage here, because you can get all the facts with the click of a mouse. So we are looking for well-formed mind instead of well-filled mind. And of course, strong mathematical and technical skills. Nowadays, this is a requirement for almost every job. So just like other jobs, here also we require strong mathematical and technical skills. All right, if you look at the exam pattern, you have the verbal ability, reading comprehension, data analysis, data interpretation, and logical reasoning, quantitative aptitude. So in today's class, I'll be mainly focusing on the first part. As I told you, English is a very important component for this exam. So let's talk a little bit about English. Let's try to brush up our English skills, and then we can focus on the other components. So I've taken some old CAT questions, and you are supposed to correct these sentences. You have question number 1, and the question number 1 says that sold on black market for $1 a piece, thieves target avocado orchards as they can easily pick thousands of dollars worth of fruit in one night. That's the question. Look at the underlined part, and you have 4 options. You have 4 options. Option A, sold on the black market for $1 a piece, thieves target avocado orchards as they can easily pick thousands of dollars. Option B, sold on the black market for $1 a piece, thieves target avocado orchards as they can easily pick thousands of dollars. Since avocados are sold on the black market for $1 a piece, thieves target avocado orchards as they can easily pick thousands of dollars. And since avocados are sold on the black market for $1 a piece, thieves target avocado orchards as they can easily pick thousands of dollars. Now, when you look at this sentence, the first thing that you need to look here is you have a piece, you have a piece, you have a piece, and you have a piece. So there has to be a difference between them. When we are talking about a piece, when you're talking about here a piece, it means that 1 unit. Just a moment. So when you're talking about a piece, it means 1 unit. And when you're talking about a piece, it means small slice, just like a piece of pizza, right? So a piece means each. This means each, whereas a piece means per slice. So obviously, when we are talking about avocados, we should not be using a piece. So option A, option B, and option D are anyways eliminated. And B and A are anyways incorrect because thieves earn the ones that are sold on the black market for $1 an each. So A and B are anyways incorrect. C and D are grammatically correct, but of course, since they're asking you choose or take the correct option, that would be answer C. So C is the right answer. All right, here comes your next question. Had it not been chieftain's tireless efforts, the dispute will not have resolved. Option A, had it not been for chieftain's tireless efforts, the dispute would not have been resolved. Looks very promising, this one. If it had not been for chieftain's tireless efforts, the dispute will not have resolved. If it had not been for the chieftain's tireless efforts, the dispute would not have resolved. No correction required. Now, if you look here, the will, the use of will in the given sentence is incorrect. When we talk about something that did not happen, past conditionals, would have should be used. So will have is incorrect. So it should have would have. So here we have would have. So technically would not have. So would not have, will not have, this is incorrect, would not have. Now we are stuck between A and C. Now with would not have been, been is the right word. You should add been with would not have, because the past participle form of is been, and that is missing from option C. So your answer is B. B is the grammatically correct option. sorry, A, the option is A, sorry, it's not B because would not have been. So B is not the right answer. Sorry, it was a slip of tongue. A is the right answer. Had it not been the chieftain's tireless efforts, the dispute would not have been resolved. All right, let's do question number 3. Now, new research suggests that cash grants to the poor is as good, if not better, than many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty. You have 4 options: is as good, if not better than, many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty, are as good, if not better than, many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty, are as good as, if not better than, many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty. Looks pretty promising. Are as good as, if not better than, many forms of traditional or many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty. Now, first of all, is as good as should be used. The correct expression should be as good as. So if you look here, it should be option, you have option C, as good as, and option D, as good as. So anyways, A and B are eliminated. Now we are stuck with option C and option D. So let's look at option C. Are as good as, if not better than, many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty, are as good as, if not better than, many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty. So, well, look at C and D. If you closely examine, both the sentences are the same, except there is a variation in the placement of the commas. Here you have if not better than, and here it is if not better. Now, in that case, when as far as the comma placements are concerned, this is the right answer. So C is the right answer. And how do you know that? If you remove this entire thing, if not better than, and try to read the sentence, it should make sense. New research suggests that the cash grants to the poor are as good as many traditional forms of aid when it comes to reducing poverty. Yes, that sounds reasonable. And next one, are as good as. So if you remove if not better, so many research suggests that cash grants to the poor are as good as, then many traditional forms. No, this is incorrect. So your option B is, sorry, option C is grammatically correct. So your answer is C. Now you have next question, and the question says, the question is not whether the stock market bubble will burst, but when. And you have option A, not whether the stock market bubble will burst, or not, but when. Not whether or not the stock market bubble will burst, but when. Not whether the stock market bubble will burst, but when. No correction required. Now, if you look at this sentence, the sentence or the syntax of this sentence is declarative. They're declaring something. The question is not whether the stock market bubble will burst, but when. Now, since this is a declarative sentence, it should not have a question mark. So none of these options are correct. So technically, this question does not require any correction. This question itself is grammatically correct. The question, as I said, the syntax of this sentence is declarative. Hence, it does not require a question mark. So the right answer is option D. The debris was removed from building site and legally disposed of. That's the next question. And was removed from the building site and legally disposed of. You need to make correction here, and your options are A, were removed from the building site and legally disposed, were removed from the building site and legally disposed of, was removed from the building site and legally disposed, no correction required. First of all, we need to understand the word here, the debris. The debris is singular. So was is correct. So where and where, this is incorrect. So was is correct because it's a singular. So the verb debris is singular. So the verb that agrees with this is was. So was is correct. Now, legally disposed of, to get rid of, to get rid of anything, we usually say disposed of. So here was removed from the building site and legally disposed of, but of is missing here. So this is incorrect as well. These are anyways incorrect, no correction required. That's option D. Option D is the right answer. So the debris was removed from the building site and legally disposed of. Next, the next question is, if of all the suggestions received, his were more practical and cost effective. Your option is his suggestions were more practical and cost effective. The more practical and cost effective suggestions were his. His were the most practical and cost effective, and no correction required. Now, in this given sentence, the use of comparative form of the adjective is incorrect, because if you see, his were more practical. So comparative form is used when the comparison is between two alternatives. But when singling out in many, as in this case of all the suggestions received, when singling out one in many, the superlative form has to be used. So when you look at the superlative form, the more is not the superlative form, most is the superlative form. So your option C is the right answer. His were the most practical and cost effective. Make sure you go over the basic grammar and try to understand that when you are using the comparative form of adjective and when the comparison is made between two individuals, then we use this more, but when it is used, when you are singling out in one in many, then you will have to use the superlative form. Right, next, you have your next question, which says that despite the company's poor performance, its chief executive has continued to receive a generous pay, which far exceeds his counterparts. Now, there are four options. Its chief executive has continued receiving a generous pay, which far exceeds his counterparts. Its chief executive has continued to receive a generous pay, which far exceeds his counterparts with an apostrophe. So, comma, so with an apostrophe. So this looks more promising. Its chief executive has continued to receive a generous pay, which far exceeds his counterparts. No correction required. You see, the intention is to draw a comparison here. If you look here, the intention is to draw a comparison between chief executive's pay and his counterparts pay, not between the chief executive's pay and his counterparts. Now, there are two things. If you are comparing between the chief executive and his immediate counterpart, you can correct it by putting an apostrophe. So that would be technically the chief executive and the counterpart. But if you are comparing between the chief executive and other counterparts, then it would be correct to say the pay exceeds many of his counterparts. Now, here it doesn't say many of his counterparts. No, this anyways is with an apostrophe, so we can ignore that, many of his counterparts. So this is incorrect, because when you're comparing between many of his counterparts, then you have to write many of his counterparts and many of his counterparts here as well. But here, this is correct, because which far exceeds his counterparts. When you put an apostrophe, you are actually correcting the sentence, or the error is rectified by either making, or you are simply making the counterpart possessive by adding an apostrophe to it. So your right answer is B. in this case, when you are comparing between the chief executive and other counterparts, then it should be many of his counterparts. So A and C are anyways incorrect, and B is the right answer. All right, many a thrilling discovery in mice has fizzled in humans. Now, if you read this sentence, the sentence looks a little bit weird because the uses of many a is quite uncommon. It is used to mean each of a considerable number of. But you see, many a is followed by a singular noun and a singular verb. So technically, grammatically, this sentence is correct. There are no errors or no correction required. So your answer is D. No correction required. Next, I have met the director yesterday and he assured me that he will help if you will ask him. He will help if you will ask him. And then you have 4 options. Have met the director yesterday and he assured me that he will help if you ask him. Met the director yesterday and he assured me that he will help if you ask him. Met the director yesterday and he assured me that he will help if you will ask him. No correction required. Now, if you see have met is in present perfect tense. Have met is in present perfect tense, which is in fact the present tense. This cannot be used with yesterday. So this cannot be used with yesterday. So have met yesterday, incorrect. Met the director yesterday. Yes, this is fine. Met the director yesterday. This is fine. Met the director yesterday, fine. Have met is incorrect. Met the director yesterday, fine. And he assured me that he will help if you ask him. And he assured me that he will help if you will ask him. Now, you will ask him, that's an incorrect uses. Will help is in a future consequence. So a condition in the future, a condition that leads to a consequence, and both cannot be used with will ask him. So technically, in this case, option B is the right answer. All right, that's all for today's lecture. I'm not an astrologer, but I strongly believe in Abraham Lincoln's statement that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and keep watching my videos.